Yo guys, what is going on? Got a Baghra army deck profile for you guys. This is a really fun purple deck I've been messing around with. It takes advantage of the Digicross mechanic and puts a cool little spin on it. It got a bunch of really cool boss monsters like Mad Leomon, Blastmon, as well as Tactimon. So if you want to play a purple deck for the set 10 formats, but Minerva Loop is maybe not your style, this is the deck for you. Definitely a fun deck you can play at local. So guys, let's go ahead and talk about the list. 4 eggs is going to be a Demi-Miramon. This is pretty standard. You're just going to basically be throwing your guys into security a lot. So having the draw one, trash one is really nice. And then for the level 3s, I am playing the 2 new Baghra army ones, as well as the level 3, the purple Gabumon, the draw 2 trash one. This guy is really standard in a lot of purple builds, since I am playing Eismon, so he's really good. But let's talk about the new guys. Soundbirdmon is really cool. Both of them have the on deletion save, so of course you may place the Digimon underneath one of your tamers as its bottom Digivolution cards. Is really good. Soundbirdmon's got the one attacking when you can place a purple Digimon underneath one of your tamers from your hand to draw 1 card. That's really good in tandem with the Yu Amano, which is your purple tamer for the deck. We'll kind of talk about him when we get to it. And then all of the Baghra army lower level guys have the opponent's turn. When this Digivolution card is trashed by an effect, you get to gain 1 memory. So it's an effect that triggers when you trash it via like your Mad Leomon or your Tactimon. We'll kind of talk about how that works in the kind of combo section of this video. I'm going to show you guys how you're supposed to play the deck. So that guy's really cool. And then Chumon, or Chuchumon, I guess, has the same inherited effect, but then his on play is reveal top 40. You get to add a Digimon card with the Baghra army, as well as 1 Yu Amano from amongst those 2 your hands, and then of course bottom deck the rest. So he's really powerful searcher. 4 cost is a little bit much, but it's still really powerful. I think it's definitely worth it, especially because you get to save him if he does die by some opponent's card. So they're both really essential to the deck. And then your other new Baghra army cards, we've got Damemon. This guy's pretty solid, but I just need to make room for some of the other cards in this list. So I think just 3 of him is enough. You could try to make room for 4, but I'm playing a lot of searchable, there's a lot of searchability in this deck, so I think 3 is fine. He's got on play when Digivolving. If you don't have a Yu Amano in play, you get to play one in from your hand without paying the memory cost. So both on play and when Digivolve it makes this card very versatile. If you play this off of an effect, off of a Tactimon or something, you get to trigger its effect, or if you just Digivolve it on top of one of your level 3s, you get to do it. And then of course is the signature on deletion save, and then the same when opponent's turn, when this Digivolution card's trashed, gain a memory. Next we got Troopmon. Now Troopmon and Mad Leomon are both really cool because they both have really cool disruption effects. So first of all, Troopmon, again another level 4 here, Baghra army. He has got the opponent's turn once per turn. When your opponent plays a Digimon and Tamer, by trashing one of this Digimon's Digivolution cards, you get to gain 1 memory. So of course if you trash a memory, trash a card and gain a memory during your opponent's turn, and it's one of these Digimon, say a Chuchumon or Soundbird, you get to then gain another memory off that, effectively making your opponent's play cost and for tamers and Digimon 2 higher than it usually is. Now that is a once per turn, but that is a free Hammer Spark on your opponent's turn just for them playing the game. I think that is really strong. So Troopmon, one of these MVPs of the deck, and then he's got on deletion save, again same effect that we've seen, and then the same inherited effect for all the Baghra army Digimon. Then now we got one of the Digicross Digimon. We've got Mad Leomon. So this guy is a level 4. He is 5 to play, but he's got Digicross -2. Requires 1 Digimon card with Baghra army in its tray. So any of the Digimon we just talked about can work as long as it says Baghra army right here. You basically get to stick it underneath it when playing, and then make this guy a 3 play cost instead of a 5. And then he's got the same on deletion save, same inherited effect during your opponent's turn, but then his main effect is opponent's turn once per turn. When the number of cards in your opponent's hand is increased by effects, by trashing any one of this Digimon's Digivolution cards, your opponent trashes cards from their hand equal to the number of cards that were increased. So what exactly does this mean? It means if they gain a card into their hand via an effect, you get to trash this to get rid of that card or those cards if it was multiple. So if for example, if they draw off of an Upamon or like a Stingmon or something like that and just trigger draw 1, you get to trash a Digivolution card. They then discard a card. If they draw 2 off of something like Fireball, or something like that, where they're drawing multiple cards, Lady Devimon, then they need to trash 2 cards. So it's a really, really powerful card, effectively making it so they can't get value off of anything that isn't just Digivolving. This doesn't, keep in mind, this doesn't stop them from drawing off of Digivolution, as that is a game mechanic, not a effect. But it is still a really, really cool effect. And of course, if you do trash a card, one of your Baghra armies, you'll end up gaining a memory back. So that's it for kind of the lower level Baghra armies. And then we got 4 copies of Eismon Scatter Mode. This is pretty standard in a lot of purple lists. This deck can take advantage of this pretty well, since you are just going to be swinging your lower level guys into security, and then just trashing them, setting up your trash for the Digicross, and then just playing stuff like Mad Leomon and your boss monsters from your hand. 1 Leomon just to go for a game, since you're playing a decent amount of purple tamers. Then now for the boss monsters. So we got, first of all, we got Blastmon. This is a level 6. He is 5 to evolve, but I'll tell you straight up, you're pretty much always going to play this card from your hand. In fact, you kind of have to, because you're not playing any level 5s in this deck. So Blastmon is a 13 to play. He's got Rush, so he can attack the turn he comes into play, and then on play, if this Digimon has 3 Digivolution card, he also gets Blitz. So if you're wondering how are you supposed to get Digivolution cards on him when you play him, well, that's where our Tamer comes in. We'll get into that in a little bit. But then during opponent's turn, once per turn, when your opponent Digimon attacks by trashing one of his Digivolution cards, you can then delete a level 4 or lower Digimon on your opponent's side of the field. So again, a really cool disruptive effect that takes advantage of the fact that all their inheriteds then do gain you back a memory. So while he is a big investment, he is certainly a really, really powerful card. And then we've got 4 copies of Tactimon. He is also a 13 to play. He's got a 4 Digivolve cost, but of course we're not going to be using that. On play, you may play up to 2 level 4 or lower Digimon with Baghra Army in their traits, without paying their memory cost from your trash, and then those Digimon gain blocker until your opponent's turn ends. So not only do you get 2 Digimon back straight up, they also can get their on-play effects, and then they also gain blocker. So it is a really solid effect overall, not to mention you can reduce its cost by from 13 to a little bit lower. And then opponent's turn, this is the kicker here. When your other Digimon's Digivolution cards would be trashed by an effect, you may trash this Digimon's Digivolution cards instead. So this card is really cool because you can use his materials in order to pay for stuff like your Mad Leomon or your Troopmon. If you're maybe you've already utilized their effects before and you've used up all of their materials, you can then use Tactimon's materials instead. And then lastly, we got 2 copies of Death Xmon to finish off the monsters. For the option cards, 3 copies of Buzzing Fist. This card is a 2-cost option card. It reveals the top 3 of your deck. Add 1 card with Baghra Army. Keep in mind that is card, so it can search a pretty decent amount of cards plus your main Tamer as well, since he is Baghra Army. And then you get to trash the rest and then place a Digimon with Baghra Army from your trash underneath one of your Tamers. So sets up one of your Digicross Digimon. So that's going to be really cool. And then we got Calling from Darkness, pretty staple, just to add stuff back. Missed Memory Boost is really solid because you are going to be wanting a lot of stuff in your trash. And then now we get into probably the best card in the deck is going to be Yu Amano. Now Yu here is both, he's the life and soul of the deck. He's also a crutch in a sense, because if you don't see this card, you're in a really, really bad position. But he does a lot for the deck. So he's a 3-cost purple Tamer. All turns, once per turn, when a purple card is placed underneath this Tamer, you get to draw 1 card and gain a memory. So off of a save effect, for example, if your Soundbirdmon dies and then you trigger the save, you stick it under your U, and then you get to then gain a memory and draw 1 card. The cool part about that is that it is all turns, so you can use it once during your turn, and then if they out one of your save Digimon on your opponent's turn, on their turn, then it goes back under your U, and then you can disrupt them by gaining a memory and drawing a card. And then your turn, once per turn, when you would play a level 4 or higher Digimon with Baghra Army in its traits, this is what I was talking about in reference to Blastmon and Tacti. By placing up to 3 purple Digimon cards from under your Tamers in that Digimon's Digivolution cards, you can then reduce the play cost of that Digimon by 2 for each card play. So effectively, you are getting a Digicross 3 like a Digicross for both your Tacti as well as your Blastmon, but you are using cards from your trash, and you actually don't even need to suspend this tamer to use that, funny enough, but it is a once per turn effect, so it's you still use up like your effect for the turn, but you effectively get to Digicross from trash when you're playing one of your boss monsters, so that's really cool. Let's go ahead and see how that works in just a second. And then lastly, 2 copies of Matt Ishida to round off the tamers for your memory tamer, so he's really strong as well, just being able to record cards. So anyways guys, that's the list. Let's kind of talk about just like general combos and how you are supposed to play the deck. Okay, so let's first talk about each of the boss monsters. I think you guys kind of know how the save keywords work. Basically, like let's say I'm gonna like swing at my opponent's security or something. This Chumon dies. I can then use on deletion save. So I'm gonna put it underneath my U, and then U will activate. I'll be able to like gain a memory back. Let's say I'm at 3, go to 4, and then draw an extra card. So U's really good. So that's kind of what the main thing you're going to be doing with these guys. But like, let's talk about the boss monsters. So Mad Leomon, for example, what you can do is you can Digicross this guy, and then I can Digicross 2 by placing a 1 Digimon with Baghra Army in his trait. So let's say I'm going to place this guy to make him a 3 play cost. So let's say for the example, I start at 3 because of Matt. So I'm going to play him for 5-2, 3 cost. And then this guy will be on the field. And then so like, let's say my opponent activates the effect. Oh, I don't know. Let's say they're playing like Shoutmon or something. They activate like a Fireball. Okay, so like let's say they play like a Fireball to draw 2 cards. So then what I can do is they're gonna play this. They're gonna draw their 2 cards, like 1, 2. So they draw their 2 cards, and then what I'm gonna do is going to then use the once per turn effect when the number of cards in your opponent's hand increases. I'm going to detach this to make them discard 2, so they're going to discard 2 cards from the hand. Maybe like they have 0 cards in their hand, so they discard these 2, but for the sake of this example. But then after that, I'm just going to be able to gain a memory as well. So if they were at 0, for example, I'll gain 1, and then since it's my turn, Matt will put me up to 3. So there's stuff like that you can do that's really cool. Additionally, if I wanted to use effect, so like let's say I had this guy underneath my Matt, for example, I could play the Mad Leomon. I'm declaring that I'm about to play him, and then I can use effect when I would play level 4 or higher with Baghra Army. I can place up to 3 Digimon from underneath my tamers in that Digimon's Digivolution card. So I'm going to place this guy up to 3, so just 1 for now. I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to reduce it by 2, so it's going to only cost 3. So I'm not using the Digicross material in this, the condition. I'm using use effect. So if, for example, I had like let's say my hand was this, or my tamer stack was like this, like I had something like this, I could then declare play this, and then I'm going to place up to 3 and reduce it by 2 for each. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 underneath my Mad Leomon, and it's only going to cost me, it's not going to cost me anything actually, it's going to cost me 0, because it's reduced by 2 for each. I place 3, so it's going to cost 5-6, or 0 in this case. You can't like go past that, but since I'm not using the Digicross material, I can just use U instead and get a fat stack of Mad Leomons. In the same example, you could also do something like a Blastmon. So Blastmon normally costs 13, so I could attempt to play him, and then what is going to happen is that I'm going to use effect, and then I'm going to stick these 3 underneath the Blastmon, reducing his cost by 6, 2 for each. So instead of costing 13, he's only going to cost 7. So now I'm paying the memory cost, putting my opponent to 4, and then on play, since he's got 3 Digivolution cards, he gets Blitz as well as Rush, so he can just swing right away. And then now I swing at my opponent, and then now I've got a Blastmon that has the opponent's turn once per turn. When a Digimon attacks, I can trash this, like delete a level 4. So let's say my opponent's a 4, they like swing with a Starmons, and then I use Blastmon's effect. They attack, and then I can trash like this material right here, delete a level 4, this dies, and then I'll gain a memory off of my guy here. So that's a couple really cool interruptive effects. And then lastly, Tactimon. Again, you can kind of do the same thing. So I'll go ahead and use the same scenario. Like let's say I've just got these 2 underneath them. So I can attempt to play this. I'm paying 13, but I'm going to use effect. So I'm going to stick these underneath to make him cost 13 minus 4, so cost a 9. And then on play, he's going to bring back 2 level 4 or lower with Baghra Army. So let's take a look at the trash. So for now, I'm just going to bring back the Chumon and let's say the Damimon. and then so these guys will gain a blocker until the opponent's turns end. And then what I could do is I could then use Chuchumon's on play effect to search the top of my deck and add a couple cards here. So then let's say instead I've got Madleomon in my trash. What I'm going to do is play the Tactimon, use effect, put these underneath it. It's going to cost 9, so put my opponent into 6. And then on play, I'm going to bring back 2 level 4 or lower Digimon with the Baghra Army. So I'm going to choose these 2, and then as I am playing them, I can use this Digicross material because it is just when you would play this card. It doesn't specifically have to be from hand. Since it is being played, I could then use the Digicross material to put this underneath it. Now, since it's already costing 0 because of Tactimon, you can't reduce the play cost anymore, but if I want to put this underneath to maybe use Madleomon's effect later on, I could definitely do that. So then I'm going to play these 2, they finally hit the board, and then Chuchumon's effect would activate, and then maybe during my opponent's turn, maybe they do something else where they draw 2 off of a fireball, and then I could then use Madleomon's effect, but instead of trashing his 1 material, if I want to use this effect maybe multiple times in the upcoming turns, I could then use Tactimon's effect to trash one of his Digivolution cards instead. Or even if I, let's say I had used this already and then I want to use Tactimon's, I could use this instead to then make them discard 2 and then gain my memory back. So there's a lot of really cool interactions you could do. You could also, this is another complicated thing, instead of using the Digicross, you could, if you had a second copy of you, let's say if you had another U and it had a Damimon underneath, and then so I played my Tactimon, I'm going to attempt to play these, and then I could use effect to use his effect to stick this underneath, again reducing it by 2 since I'm playing a level 4 or higher Baghra Army, but of course since it already costs 0, nothing is going to be reduced, but I could then stick something underneath one of my Tamers into my Madleomon. So there's a lot of really cool interactions you can do, and the goal of this deck is just basically to disrupt your opponent with effects like Madleomon, with stuff like Troopmon, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of really cool interactions you can do. But anyways, guys, that is going to be the video. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of tutorial on Baghra Army, as well as discussing my list. If you have any suggestions down in the comments, please let me know, because I'm always looking for more options and more ways to make this deck better. But anyways, guys, that's going to do for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.